You must be so incredibly tired. You just want a stable, happy relationship. And you'll go to unimaginable lengths to secure it. But then, a tiny, almost invisible shift happens. They don't text you first. They take a few hours to reply. Maybe their eyes lose focus for a second across the dinner table. Instantly, a familiar panic sets in. They're getting tired of me. They're unhappy being around me. And right next to that fear, a sudden surge of resentment boils up. You think, after everything I sacrificed for you, how could you treat me like this? So you react. You pick a fight over a trivial detail. You question their motives, or maybe you even check their phone, desperately trying to claw back a tiny sense of security. You feel like an endless black hole that no amount of reassurance can ever fill. You realize your reaction actually pushed your partner further away. An overwhelming wave of shame swallows you. But a few days later, the fear returns. You hold on even tighter, and the loop begins again. Living inside the cycle, you really must be so tired. This is the daily reality for someone with an anxious attachment style. And it's the next chapter in our series, following our last video on avoidant sabotage. You probably already know, at least on some level, that these overwhelming reactions are tied to your past. Those early experiences shaped how you see the world, leaving you with a specific psychological filter called rejection sensitivity. What this means is that your mind anxiously expects and intensely reacts to any sign of being pushed away. An ambiguous signal is never just ambiguous. If your partner is quiet during dinner, someone else might just assume they had a long day at work. But your mind instantly reads that silence as a threat. You're running a highly tuned radar, constantly scanning their tone of voice, their physical distance, and their specific word choices for any tiny hint that they're leaving. You take everything personally, assuming that if they're in a bad mood, you must be the cause. This radar developed because the early care you received was inconsistent. Sometimes your emotional needs were met with warmth, and other times with coldness. Your young mind learned a very specific lesson. Love is incredibly fragile. And if you don't stay hyper-vigilant at all times, it will disappear without warning. This explains why you might be an incredibly loyal friend, yet feel completely out of control in romance. Friendships rarely replace your parents as your primary attachment figures. But a romantic partner steps directly into that survival space. Because they hold that primary role, your attachment system reacts to them with an intensity that your friends will rarely trigger. When that survival radar picks up on a potential threat today, your mind initiates a hyper-activating strategy. Think of a young child feeling ignored in a busy room. They don't sit quietly. They cry louder or throw something. They escalate their behavior to force the caregiver to pay attention. You're doing the exact same thing in your adult relationships. When you feel emotional distance, you escalate. You pick a fight, you send a long, angry text message, or you threaten to leave. This is a protest behavior. You're turning up the volume of your distress to force your partner to engage, to prove they still care enough to fight back. The saddest part is that this creates a devastating, self-fulfilling prophecy. Faced with accusations and a constant need for reassurance, your partner eventually pulls away just to protect their peace. And when they do, your mind takes this as absolute proof. It says, "See, I knew they were going to leave me." Caught in that panic, you cannot see that testing the connection is exactly what pushed them away. The relationship suffers, and the abandonment you tried so hard to prevent is confirmed all over again. This entire cycle is fueled by a vulnerability known in psychology as Relationship-Contingent Self-Esteem. Most people draw confidence from multiple pillars, like their career, hobbies, or friendships. If one struggles, the others hold them up. But with high relationship-contingent self-esteem, you essentially only have one pillar. Your entire baseline of worth is tethered to the minute-by-minute status of your romantic relationship. If your partner is happy and giving you attention, you feel valuable and safe. You feel like a complete person. But the second they seem distant or distracted, your self-worth plummets to zero. The ground completely falls out from under you. And this explains why the fear of rejection feels like a matter of life and death. When your partner creates distance, you lose your identity. The stakes are so high that your nervous system will do whatever it takes to restore the connection. So picking a massive fight makes perfect sense to a mind trying to rebuild its sense of self. It is a fight for the right to exist. But with your self-esteem outsourced, your internal world becomes a relentless roller coaster, dictated by their moods. You spike into short-lived relief and crash back into despair. And that's exactly why you're so incredibly tired. To find a way out of this exhaustion, we have to completely shift how your nervous system understands a relationship. Right now, think of a relationship as two ships sailing side by side. You feel out of control because of one critical mistake. You've taken your emotional anchor and tossed it onto their ship. So whenever their ship changes course, speeds up, or hits a normal wave, your entire world violently tips over. To find some real peace, you have to pull that anchor back to your own boat. This means untangling your self-worth from your relationship. You cannot let your partner's mood dictate your value. Your anchor must rest in your own life. You do this by spreading your self-worth across different pillars, investing in your friendships, your hobbies, and your career. When your internal stability is anchored to your own actions, a partner taking a few hours to text back stops feeling like a massive threat. It just becomes a minor change in the weather. But the thing is, having your own anchor doesn't mean you'll never feel anxious. When your partner goes quiet or real conflict pops up, your internal threat radar might still sound. In schema therapy, there's an incredibly helpful concept for this, called the vulnerable child and the healthy adult. Right now, when panic sets in, the person grabbing the wheel is your vulnerable child. In this mode, you feel small, terrified, and desperate for someone else to soothe your panic. When you pick a fight, you're basically asking your partner to regulate an emotion that feels way too big for you to hold alone. Your goal is slowly building the voice of your healthy adult and letting them take the wheel. When that alarm sounds, the healthy adult doesn't demand that your partner fix the feeling. Instead, they speak internally to the vulnerable child. They create a gentle pause and remind you, I know we're feeling scared right now because of the silence, but silence doesn't mean abandonment. We are safe right here in this moment. You slowly become your own source of reassurance, steering your own ship. It takes practice, but it's a skill you can learn. Once you stabilize your ship, you can change how you sail with others. In a relationship, you must shift how you communicate when triggered. Instead of picking a fight to test their loyalty, you simply take ownership of your radar. Say your partner mentions a work trip next year. Your brain instantly screams that they're leaving you. Instead of starting a fight, let the healthy adult speak. Just say, I'm having a huge reaction right now, but it's not your fault. I'm just feeling really triggered about being left behind. By owning your reaction, you stop making them the enemy and let them support you. Without feeling blamed, they don't need to walk on eggshells. This vulnerable shift in communication completely changes the dynamic, pulling you closer together instead of pushing them away. If you're single, you must be highly strategic about who sails next to you. You're naturally drawn to avoidant partners because their independence looks like the stability you crave. But the moment you try to get closer, their evasion kicks in. They pull back, which triggers your fear of abandonment, causing you to protest louder. It's a cycle that destroys both of you. This is known as the classic anxious-avoidant trap. So before committing to someone new, ensure your communication styles align. You need someone capable of co-regulation. If they pull away at the first sign of friction, they are simply not the right fit for your nervous system. Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a thought. We so often expect a partner to act like a life raft, someone whose job is to keep us from drowning. But the truth is, they are simply a fellow traveler sailing beside us. Of course, their presence makes the voyage worthwhile, and they can support us through the storm. but they cannot carry our entire emotional weight. Ultimately, the ability to stay afloat must come from our own ship. And if your anchor still feels a little unstable right now, it is a perfectly healthy, mature choice to stay single for a season. You can stay in the harbor, focus entirely on your own baseline, and learn to find peace without the constant turbulence of romance. I know we covered a massive amount of information today, but I want you to truly believe this. You have a tremendous capacity for love and a huge heart that genuinely wants to give and receive care. We just need to give you the tools to feel safe while you experience it. You've spent so much of your life working tirelessly to make sure everyone else feels accommodated. Now, it's time to turn some of that incredible dedication inward. And to help you get started, I've created a free PDF guide. It maps out this 2 ships framework, including specific scripts for the healthy adult and protocols for communicating your triggers without starting a fight. You can download it using the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.